So this is where we're at now from the angle of the warping peg, and we're just going to put a choke tie just with some waste yarn around that. Just make a bow so that it can be undone afterwards. Now we're going to wind on the warp, and this is where your warp separators come in. I'll show you how to use those. Now for warping, I usually have somebody around to help me. So I've got my son at the other end of the warp. He's holding it for me while I'm going to wind it on. There are other methods of winding on if you don't have somebody to help you, and perhaps I can go over those in another video. But for now, I'm going to start warping the way I usually do by taking this and winding it backwards. Your loom might look a little bit different. It might have a lever or something here instead. But if you've got an Ashford loom, it'll look just like this. Now, once we get around so that the yarn meets itself, then we can start putting the warp separators in underneath and just put them in there so that you are separating the yarn. And again, the separator. This helps to keep your tension right and your threads organised. Okay, I'll take it from there, thank you. Now I can hold it myself. You can actually do this from the very beginning. You can hold it yourself depending on the width of the project and how confident you feel holding this and winding this at the same time, as well as putting in the warp separators. So we'll keep winding. I'll pop another one of these in. We wind till about the point of looking at this apron rod and seeing that we'd have about that much room left over, because we're going to be tying this yarn onto this. So we need to make sure that it reaches over that rod, not back here somewhere. Okay, so now that you've got that wound on, you can just let that sit. You can also grab a pair of scissors and cut the loops, because remember you went around your warping peg, so you've got loops. You can cut them when you take them off the peg if you want to. It's just sometimes easy for the person who's holding it to be able to hold through the loops. And then we can undo this choke tie that we put on earlier. Okay, so we're looking like this. So we're up to threading. If you're unsure about threading, watch my other video on tips for threading, and then you can have a go at this. So here's our warp, and we're just going to start at the left hand side, and just as I say in my tips video, we start by taking one thread through the hole, the other one remains in the slot, and we're going to keep doing that. I'm not doing this slowly for you because you can refer to the other video to see that, but this is just the simple straightforward threading. Something that is so great about a rigid head or loom is that the threading is just so easy, and if you've ever thread 4 shafts or 6 shafts or 8 shafts, you'll know what I mean. It's pretty labor intensive, but this is all straightforward and easy. There's a slot, there's a hole, and that's it. Okay, so I'm getting a little group there, so we'll just get them out of the way for now. So we continue on in the exact same manner the whole way across. You get much quicker at this after a while. I remember when I started, this part used to feel like it took so long. But really, practice makes it so much easier, and now I can think of something I want to weave. I can warp it, I can thread it, and I can be weaving within an hour of that initial thought, which is pretty cool. It's something that I really like about this loom. It's user friendly and it's portable. So I'll just keep going there, and then I'll touch base with you again when we get to the other side. Now we're ready to tie on. We can bring all of our little groups that we made back over here. By the way, these groups should be about 1 inch wide, is a good measurement to have. So we can just undo those knots, and we're going to halve the group, bring them underneath the apron rod and out the sides, bring them up to meet in the middle at the top, and tie a simple knot, but don't tighten the knot, okay, just to like that. And then we'll take the right hand side over once more, and then you can tighten it. And that's a surgeon's knot. Now take the group to the left or the right and do the same thing. Halve it, take it under the apron rod, bring the ends up to meet, tie a knot, and then over one more time into a surgeon's knot. And the reason we use that is because it can be tightened afterwards. And also, if you need to undo it, it's not too difficult to undo. Now on the right hand side, we'll do that again. Over once, over twice, and then we go to the other side again. So we're going to work our way through all of the groups until they're all tied on. So this is a direct tie on method, as opposed to the lashing on method. I usually prefer this method. A lot of people swear by lashing on, but I've used it a few times and I seem to prefer this way. I feel like I can get better tension this way. Other people say the opposite. I don't know. You do what works for you. Keep alternating sides. I think I'll take that around that tie. Sometimes these plastic ties get in the way a little bit, but you can work around them. There's that tie again. And we're almost there. I lost one there. Oops. Okay, one more on this side. Now we'll go back to the middle, pick up the ends and pull up towards the reed and then tighten that knot. You can see how much slack that had in it. Do the same with this one. Up towards the reed and then tighten the knot. And keep alternating your sides as you move out. And this is what gives you that good tension. Yep, and you can double check the middle one again. Yep, that moved a little bit, but it's pretty good. I think I'm pretty happy with that. Oh, that one was a bit looser. I might have missed that one before as I was going over them the second time. Okay, so now we've got them all tied on. And the tension is very nice. And you know what that means? It means it's time to start weaving.